Welcome to Avritt's Academy, the broadcast dedicated to Christian educators at home and in the classroom. I am Katherine Avritt. Today we're going to have a lesson over modeling classroom behavior. Thank you so much for joining our broadcast. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you taking time to listen to me, and to all of those who have subscribed and left me a nice, polite comment. I really appreciate it. It really did make the world, it made the day for me. I appreciate you taking your time to do that and to let me know that you appreciate my broadcast. Because I love talking, so hopefully someone loves listening. Today I'm going to teach you a lesson about modeling in the classroom. It has been said that some things are better caught than taught. So we know that we are educators, and our job isn't just to teach third grade or to teach English or to teach mathematics or PE, whatever your specialty is. Our job is to teach students. My pastor says it all the time. We don't teach subjects, we teach students. And there are many things that we can teach our students that go beyond the scope of our curriculum. And unfortunately for us, all the time, they are watching us, and they better catch it is caught better than taught our behavior. So today I'm going to teach you about 4 things that we need to model in the classroom. The first thing that we need to model in the classroom is our worship. So being Christian educators, we are Christians first. First and foremost, before we're a teacher, before we're an educator, we are a Christian. So everything in our life should model to our young people about a life of worshiping God. So, I don't know if you teach in a Christian school or homeschool or what, but these young people, they need to have an example of worship. If they don't learn to worship from you, where's our next generation going to learn to worship? So what can you do as a teacher to model worship? One, obviously, would be to reflect praise or deflect praise to God in all things. Every situation, you can do this so easily with elementary school students, it's a beautiful day outside. Isn't it great that God gave us this beautiful day? Or we're nice and healthy. I'm so glad that God gave us healthy bodies. Or when you're teaching a little science lesson in elementary school, teach them how we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and always deflect praise to God. In the older grades, as kids can be more analytical and they can see God do things. Maybe you have daily prayer time, which you should have daily prayer time, and you see answers to prayer. We can always worship God for that. Always find ways to bring worshiping God into the classroom, because that is a habit that it's beneficial to you. It's beneficial for the young people to see. Discuss your things that you are grateful to the Lord for. When something good happens to you, deflect it from yourself and always deflect it to the Lord. If someone tells you, wow, that science is really interesting, you could always say, well, the Lord made it, or something of that nature. So we should always be a model of worship. And then also, when we're talking about worshiping God and we should also consider taking things to the Lord. Maybe if there's a situation that a student comes to you in an after hours type of situation, and they have a home situation or a friendship situation that might be too difficult, make sure your first course that you're going to take is to take that in prayer and make it a matter of prayer, and teach your students that that's what we do when we battle tough things. So we should always model worship. The second thing that we should model for our student is work habits. Now, I mean this in so many ways of working hard and work habits. We all expect our students to come to school on time. Do you come to work on time? Do you start your class on time? There are, for me, being on time, if you have to be there at 7:30, is not being there at 7:30. If you're there at 7:30, I consider you late. There's so many people who think if you roll in the parking lot at 7:30, you're on time to work. I don't think so. When you are ready to start work, you should be in your classroom, in your office, with your computer on, with everything ready to go. So you start working, your stuff put away. We all have our little rituals when we walk in our classroom. You put your bag down. Maybe you fill up your water cup for the day, or put your lunch in the fridge, or whatever it may be, start drinking your coffee. But all of that should be done and you should be ready to go at start time. When you have classes, do you start school punctually? Do you start at 8 o'clock? Take attendance then. Start your pledges, start your prayers, start right away. If we want our students to start class on time and to take things seriously, you as a teacher have to model that for them. If you expect to start class at 10 o'clock and you keep getting frustrated because your students don't take it seriously to come to class on time, do you make it a serious matter to be punctual in your work? Another thing about work is we expect our students to turn in their homework and their assignments on time. So as a teacher, something we can model for them is, do we return their homework and their projects on time? And right now in my own life, I'm just going to let you know I'm a little behind in my grading because I had some students who were out due to sickness. So they give you a week's worth of work and it takes a little bit of time to grade all that. So personal confession, I'm behind in this. I'm not being a good example right now, but do you give your work back in a timely manner? So if they give you a test, do they have to wait 5 days to get it back? If they give you a report or a project, do they have to wait weeks before you grade it? Be a good example of giving work back and returning it in a timely manner. I personally try to return everything the very next day. As I just confessed, I am slightly behind, but it is a habit of mine because I want my students to give me their work, so I'm going to give it back to them. Do you do that in a timely manner? And also just our busyness of work. If you expect your students to use every minute of class to productivity, do you use every minute of class to productivity? I know maybe if you're an elementary school teacher, you don't spend 30 or 40 minutes a class period lecturing, and there's time when they're doing their seat work. As your students are doing their seat work or taking a test or whatever it may be, what are you doing as a teacher? You could be modeling being a hard worker. You could be doing classroom tasks such as tidying up, dusting, taking out the trash. It might be a little noisy for them. So other things you could do is you can be grading their papers while they are taking a test or while they are doing their seat work. Let them see you have a good work ethic and to work hard. So what we need to model is worship. We need to model hard work. The third thing we need to model for our students is our words. Now, there is many things we can say about words. One would be the words that we speak to them. So we should always speak with kindness and respect, no matter who you are talking to. It could be a kindergartner. It should be the principal of a school. It could be a parent. You should always model kindness and respect when you speak. Now, sometimes there's times when you have to discipline or correct a young person. You can still do it with kindness and respect. If you want them to speak to you politely, you need to speak to them that politely. Doesn't matter which student I'm talking to, what grade they're in. If I'm teaching 4-year-old Sunday school and a boy raises his hand, I am going to say yes, sir, to him. If a girl raises her hand, I'm going to say yes, ma'am, because I would like them to address me that way. So whenever I acknowledge them, I always say yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. It doesn't matter the age of our students. We need to model for them politeness and kindness. In this day and age, there are so many things, especially young people, they don't know how to speak to each other. They don't know how to address each other. And so as a teacher, if we just always make sure whenever we are speaking to them, we speak with kindness and respect. That's a good thing for them to catch from you. Another thing is not just speaking to students or parents, administrators, is to speak about them. Make sure that whenever you are speaking about anyone in authority, that you are always speaking positively. We never use derogatory words or say anything negative that needs to unnecessary. So sometimes there are negative things about people because we're humans and we make mistakes. But is it really necessary for you to say that there's another teacher who does X, Y, or Z in front of your whole classroom? Is that necessary? No, it's not. So when we speak about other students, when we speak about parents or other teachers, we always speak kindly because we want those students to do the same. We don't want to get in that habit of saying bad things because as a teacher, you have a lot of students and a lot of homes represented. And I find this more like in my Sunday school ministry than in my classroom ministry, that sometimes students say things about other people that you would be appalled that a 6-year-old would be saying. But where do they hear that? They're 6. They're not going to generate these thoughts and ideas on their own. They heard it from their parents. So you want to make sure that you are modeling kind and respectful words. So we model worship, we model our work ethic, we model words. And then the last one, and there's probably more we could have, is we need to model our wardrobe. So as a teacher, you spend more hours. You spend 8 hours a day with your students. That's like a third of their day. They are with you. And what is the job of a student? To pay attention and to look at you, right? Their eyeballs need to be at you. So when they're looking at you, they're looking at what you're wearing just by default. So we need to pattern for them how we should dress, how we should be put together. It's very sad if you've ever gone to the airport or even, good grief, Walmart, grocery store, and you see people are walking around in their pajamas and they just look like they rolled out of bed. I personally feel that's extremely disrespectful to yourself, to others. It's not a good representation of Christ, right? We are ambassadors of Christ wherever we go. So we should always look polished and put together. So as females, of course, we need to model modesty. We need to model put togetherness. Especially there's a lot of girls and they think that it's okay to just roll out of bed and not do their hair and just barely put their clothes on and be all wrinkly and whatever. But as a teacher, if they're staring at you all day, we need to make sure that we are modeling the right way to dress and the right way to just present ourselves, not for vanity purposes. Again, in the age of 2021, it's all about the selfies and getting the likes on social media. But rather, as I said, we are ambassadors of Christ, and to teach our young people that we need to present ourselves as Christians and we need to present ourselves put together and clean and neat. And so to model for them how we should wear. Now, there are times where you're going to have to correct them for their dress code infractions. Now, I've taught at two schools. One, we had uniforms, one we didn't. And interestingly, the school where we had uniforms, I had almost more dress code infractions than not. But that's neither here nor there. But there are times you're going to have to address the dress code. And if you are one who follows it and who is modeling good dressing patterns and behavior, it's much easier to connect with them or to teach them because they have not seen you make those mistakes. So, as we're teaching, we're not just teaching the academic subject that we have of second grade or fourth grade or math or English history. You are teaching the student, and we are teaching and molding them to be successful adults in the future. And as I say, some things are better caught than taught. And it's your job to model for them as they spend 8 hours in your classroom. And so I just want to encourage you that as that influence in their life, we're going to model worshiping God, our work ethic, our words, and our wardrobe. Thank you very much for watching our episode today. I greatly appreciate it. I hope that it was a help to you. If you want to hear our new episode next week, go ahead and subscribe. My podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts, on any media or any platform. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer it, or a topic you'd like me to talk about, you can just go ahead and leave a comment and I'll put it in my repertoire of things to discuss. Thank you and have a great week.